Hello you guys and welcome to the WrestleDude channel as we are here today for an NXT Universe Mode, or should I say WWE 2K18 Universe Mode exclusive, as it says right here on my flat screen TV. This is not a green screen at all. I am actually here and there's actually a flat screen TV right here. You don't even need to look it up. Completely fine. But I'm here today to talk, of course, about the NXT and WWE 2K18 Universe Mode. More importantly, we're going to go back, and I'm sitting here in my comfy chair right in front of my flat screen TV. But we're going to take a look back at some ideas. I actually have to introduce a guest of mine. This isn't a person, but it is a thing. This right here, this is my journal that I have done the NXT Universe mode in ever since I want to say 2K14. 2K14 is when I started. No, 2K15 is when I started doing the NXT Universe mode. Before that, it was just like a mishmash of like WWE superstars, WCW superstars, stuff like that. It was when I was early getting into wrestling and I was learning about all these new promotions that I had never heard about before. But we're going to take a look back all the way to my first pages, and you can see how thick this book is. I don't want to spoil anything for upcoming episodes, but everything that is being clipped right there is stuff that has already happened compared to like how much stuff is have yet to happen right down here. So a lot of stuff has happened here, and I was kind of looking through this earlier today, and I thought, boy, have I made some dumb decisions in the universe mode, and I can understand some of them. It was when I was first starting out, and I was trying different things to try and see if anybody liked it. Um, so we're going to take a look through this book, and we are actually going to see what stuff looks cool, and what stuff was very stupid. Uh, I'm sure the dumb stuff's gonna outweigh the good. So here we go. I'm going to unclip it. This is kind of gonna be like one of those ASMR videos. Okay, I'm gonna unclip it right now. Oh, it's not coming off. Okay, maybe I should just do it like this. I was gonna pull it off for dramatic effect, but boom, pulled off. Step one complete. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at the first page. And we're going to go through. I'm going to do like all the big events, and if I skim through anything else and I see anything else stupid, then we'll talk about that too. Okay, I see my first problem here. This was something. This is when I started getting introduced into some of the NXT guys that were coming in at the time, such as Finn Balor. So I thought it would be cool. Um, what if Finn Balor was a part of the Shield? And also, this was back, I didn't know when Finn Balor did the paint, like on special occasions. I thought he wore it all the time. So, in the first couple episodes of the Universe mode, he wore paint all the time. And it was crappy paint. This was like way before I started using community creations or anything. Any creations you saw, if you had seen them, were made by me, and they were crap. They were just major crap, and that was kind of the start of it. What else do we have here? Oh yeah. Oh, good lord, this is crazy. So, leading up to the first takeover event, it actually wasn't even called Takeover. It was called NXT Arrival, by the same name as the other WWE event of the same name. I was building up a main event. Um, it was, oh god, you're gonna laugh at this. It was the Nexus, the original Nexus, versus the new Nexus. I literally called them the new Nexus. Original Nexus consisted of Bad News Barrett. Who else does it say? Justin Gabriel and Curtis Axel. Hmm. And new Nexus consisted of Adrian Neville, Bo Dallas, and what? that doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, that's right. Bo Dallas, he was a part of the New Nexus for about a night, and then I had to start setting up the NXT Championship tournament that would culminate at Takeover Arrival or NXT Arrival. So Bo Dallas was in the New Nexus for one night. Then I had to replace him with somebody. Who did I replace him with? I don't see him anywhere because he's in the championship tournament here. Rusev, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, that's right. It was so the new Nexus was Adrian, Neville, Rusev, and Corey Graves. I replaced Bo Dallas with Corey Graves. That was, I would say that was a good choice. Although none of these episodes are available, considering my last YouTube channel was completely deleted, so all that footage is gone. Sorry if you were looking for it. I mean, you probably wouldn't have liked it anyways. It would be like the way that I filmed it was that I didn't have capture cards or anything like that that I have now. So what I would do is I would take the tablet that I had at the time, make it face the TV, and record stuff like that. Kind of like if I was to record it the same way now, I would take this webcam, turn it around, and make it face the TV and line up with it, and then I'd do like buttloads of editing, I would say, to make it look good, which did not make it look good at all. Um, so yeah, first takeover event we had Seth Rollins and Finn Balor of the Shield versus the Brotherhood, Cody Rhodes and Goldust for the tag titles. The Brotherhood won. Let's see, we had Velvet Sky versus Paige for the NXT Women's Championship. Velvet Sky won. Bo Dallas beat Dean Ambrose in the finals of the NXT title tournament. New Nexus versus Original Nexus. Original Nexus won. I mean, I made the good decision there. WWE didn't on theirs, but at least I did mine. This was another weird thing that I did. I liked the idea of doing two shows at a time, although I couldn't think of a good second show to do. So I kind of kept flipping back and forth between like different shows. So it would go NXT, then a random show, NXT, random show, NXT, random show. Like literally, I'm gonna name off. I don't know if it starts all the way back from the beginning here. Yeah, so it starts off all the way back from the beginning. Um, and we had a 2 week period where there was no show, so it actually went NXT random show, NXT random show, NXT special event, like takeover event. So it went NXT Superstars, like WWE Superstars, NXT main event, NXT Arrival. Then we had NXT again. Then we had Ring of Honor, which is where I had guys that were in NXT compete on a Ring of Honor show. So I had like Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, stuff like that. Um, then we had, so after Ring of Honor, we had NXT again. Then we had a show called Total Diva Throwdown, which was an all women's special event. Then we had NXT. Then we had Money in the Bank. This was before they actually started doing like takeover events, so I had no idea about it. So I just did WWE pay per view events, just themed with, hey, it's the all NXT show. Um, and it was main evented by Bad News Barrett versus Bo Dallas. After defeating the new Nexus, Bad News Barrett would go after the NXT Championship, and I believe he won. No, actually, it says here Bad News Barrett hits the bullhammer elbow, the lights go out, and the Shield attack. So the Shield target Bo Dallas for the NXT Championship. Next, I think the next pay-per-view should be, yep, NXT SummerSlam. That was very stupid. Also, the way that I did the poster for that was a really bad Photoshop job. And this was before actually, it wasn't even Photoshop. Like, I didn't know anything about Photoshop because, like I said, I had a tablet. So the way that I would do the poster is, like, for SummerSlam, the background color was yellow. So what I would do is I would go into my little painting tool, and I would take yellow, and like I had a picture of Bo Dallas holding the NXT Championship with like the thumbs up. I'm sure it's somewhere over the internet. But what I would do is I took the yellow and I would go around the outline of Bo Dallas, trying to cut out all the other stuff, and it was just very very bad. And it was also before I figured out what PNGs are, which are like those transparent files where like the background is non-existent and are easy to use rather than doing tons of Photoshop. Oh man, that page is falling apart. NXT WWE Throwback, which is where we had classic superstars. We had Hulk Hogan versus HBK. Post match beatdown, HBK attacked by Tyler Breeze. Oh yeah, that's a program I did. New Age Outlaws and Triple H. So basically DX versus Austin, Mick, and Rock. And then we had Natalia and Charlotte. I'm guessing the daughters of like classic superstars versus Lita and Eva Marie. Why am I teaming Eva Marie with? You know what? Never mind. Um, Tyler Breeze challenges HBK at SummerSlam. Contract signing Roman Reigns versus Bo Dallas. Man, even I was trying to make Roman Reigns look strong. Uh, you know how I said I do those like random shows in between episodes of NXT? Well, this one was Impact Wrestling. So I had Impact Wrestling stars. I had Austin Aries versus Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle versus Sting, Havoc or Jessica Havoc versus Gail Kim. HBK responds to Tyler Breeze. HBK accepts the challenge for SummerSlam. NXT Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt, and then Bo Dallas cuts a promo saying that Roman can't win. I know. The weirder thing that I did about doing the universe mode this early was that the way I did promo segments, because promo segments weren't put into the game until quite later. Um, it was very very hard considering the main gameplay that I did was on 2K15. The way I did promos was I did it on 2K14. And like I said, the community creations, I had no idea how to use that. And also, I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't do like community creations for that. I uploaded the episodes like whenever I went to school. I used like their Wi-Fi. Um, so like superstars like Bo Dallas, I had to do my absolute best to make them look like their superstar counterparts, which I was really bad at. So the promo segments were really bad. I was very happy at some of the superstars I wanted to use that were in 2K14 and also were in 2K15, like the Shield. That's why I thought it was a little bit easier doing like promos for them. Also, I should mention I did this all on the last gen, so I was on PlayStation 3 at the time, so that's the graphics were like really bad. And I couldn't do like the way that you can edit superstars like move sets or edit their attires back then. So I was very limited in my abilities at the time. So NXT SummerSlam, we have Team Cameron versus Team Naomi. Randy Orton and Ryback. Oh my god! Oh, I forgot I made that tag team. So I made a makeshift tag team of Randy Orton and Ryback, and I called them Ryback KO. Wow, that was a stupid idea. Kind of catchy. Tyler Breeze versus HBK. HBK wins. Burying talent. That was, like I said, this is very early in my stint in the universe mode. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for in an Extreme Rules match. I remember playing through that. That was a long ways coming. I know I got yelled at from my mom because like I do commentary for the universe mode, and when I was doing commentary for that, she was just getting mad because I was like, because there was all this like crazy stuff happening. I was commentating for it, and like I guess I got really loud. So from then on, I had to make sure I did all my recording like while she was at work or like when nobody else was at the house. Main event: Bo Dallas. Main event of NXT SummerSlam: Bo Dallas versus Roman Reigns for the NXT title. Roman Reigns wins, only to be cashed in on by Mr. Money in the Bank, Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt leaves with the NXT Championship. Oh, and the Wyatt family beat the New Day earlier in that night. All right then. So Bray Wyatt is the NXT champion. NXT, FCW, NXT, ECW, NXT, NXT, NXT Rivals. Oh yeah, this is where I started doing like control of NXT. So I had Stone Cold Steve Austin was the general manager at the time. This was kind of following my old universe mode, where Austin gained control of the universe mode, which ironically was on the last episode of that universe mode's existence. So Stone Cold announces the next pay-per-view name, then Triple H attacks him. So then we got a rivalry between Triple H and Stone Cold for control of NXT. Then we have Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt having a rivalry. Roman Reigns was being attacked by the Wyatts. We had Dean Ambrose and Bo Dallas having a rivalry. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor defending the tag team titles a lot. We had Daniel Bryan versus Damian Mizdow. Um, Bray Wyatt retains the NXT title at Takeover Rivals, okay, or NXT Rivals. Triple H defeats Stone Cold Steve Austin and gains control of NXT. I think that's when I was trying to write out Stone Cold. Um, let's see, the Authority coming to NXT. Oh God, even I hated fucking doing that because I hated the Authority like just when they were on WWE television. WWE live event, just some naff stuff. NXT WCW. We had Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus the Wolves. Bailey versus Charlotte. Hogan and Nash versus Sting and Big Show. Man, I really did a lot of this. Oh yeah, and then I had Dean Ambrose get into a rivalry with Bray Wyatt after Roman Reigns failed to win the NXT Championship. Roman Reigns was feeling down until Roman Reigns comes out and says, "Hey, I'm gonna leave NXT," and then The Rock comes to NXT, cuts a promo on Roman Reigns, and says, "I want to fight you at NXT R Evolution." So the main event of an NXT special event was Roman Reigns versus The Rock. What was I doing? What else here? Hmm. Oh, I made myself. I had a character of myself in the universe mode. His name was Jacob Johnson, and he was the Intercontinental Champion, which is another thing. I put the Intercontinental Championship uh, on NXT for some reason. I had Kane in here. I don't know. Kane? That's very weird. Uh, Bull Dempsey. Oh man, I haven't heard that name in a long time. He's in here somewhere. Oh wait, right. I have to go over the results. NXT R Evolution. Sami Zayn beats Jacob Johnson for the Intercontinental Championship. That's probably when I started getting smarter. Dean Ambrose captures the NXT Championship, defeating Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns beats The Rock in the main event. Alright, cool. So, I did not waste time doing that. NXT, Dean Ambrose celebrates with the Shield, and Kane interrupts. Doesn't say really anything more than that. Daniel Bryan versus Jacob Johnson, I assume number one contenders match, ends in a draw. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor versus Tyson Kidd and Cesaro for the NXT Tag Team titles. Finn Balor heel turn on Seth Rollins. This was when I started doing a rivalry between Rollins and Finn Balor. And this was one of the stories that went on for a long time, up until WrestleMania. So we just passed, like, SummerSlam. SummerSlam was 2 pay-per-views ago, so this rivalry lasted all the way until WrestleMania, which very surprises me. Um, let's see, Total Diva Throwdown, and then I had... Oh, Triple H announces the Hardcore title is coming to NXT. Why did I need another championship? Maybe that's what I used to replace the Intercontinental Championship, I think. Right back KO. Finn Balor explains his actions. Seth Rollins tries to attack him, and Seth Rollins is arrested. I remember doing that cutscene. That took forever. Um, Ultimate X, Manic versus Neville versus Justin Gabriel versus Solomon Crow. Neville wins. What else is here? Paul Heyman warns Dean Ambrose. Oh, this is an. Oh my god, I remember doing this. So on a random episode of NXT, I had Dean Ambrose defeat Kane, only for Brock Lesnar to appear. Brock Lesnar will challenge Dean Ambrose for the NXT Championship at NXT Clash of Champions. What do we have here? Jacob Johnson regains the Intercontinental Championship in a fatal four-way. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins have a war of words, and a match is proposed between the two. Nikki Bella defeats AJ Lee for the Divas Championship. Why was the Divas Championship on NXT? The Hardcore title is won by Kevin Owens. The finals of the tournament was Luke Harper versus Kevin Owens. Seems about right. Uh, Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar for the NXT Championship. Brock Lesnar becomes NXT Champion. Jesus Christ, what did I do? What was I thinking back then? Brock Lesnar's championship coronation. Seth Rollins faces Kane, and afterwards Finn Balor accepts the match between the two. What else is here? Lesnar versus Cesaro. Wow, I had Brock Lesnar competing like every week. Um, Oh yeah, and this led to their rematch at NXT Lockdown. This was my first original pay-per-view idea. Not really original, but like something outside of WWE. NXT Lockdown, basically the same concept of TNA's Lockdown, except like not every match was in a cage. There were a lot of cages, um, but just not as many as TNA did. Let's see here. We had Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins on a random episode of NXT. Finn Balor won with the help of Kane. NXT Lockdown. Kevin Owens retains the NXT Hardcore title against Drew Galloway, which is weird that I called him Drew Galloway back then. Um, Paige and AJ Lee versus the Bellas in a Hell in a Cell match. Okay, so I didn't have just cage matches, I had cell matches too. Jacob Johnson versus Sami Zayn Intercontinental Championship cage match. Velvet Sky versus LVE. What is LV? Oh, Lacey Von Erich. I forgot I had her in the universe mode. LVE in a cage match. Kane beat Roman Reigns. Hmm. Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins never got started. They brawled and the match never happened. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose inside a steel cage. Lesnar retains. Who beats Brock Lesnar for the NXT Championship? Man, it's been so long, even I forget. Uh, Brock Lesnar open fight night next week. Uh, okay. Brock Lesnar comes out and says open fight night next week, and the open challenge is accepted a week early by Baron Corbin. That's who I had Lesnar uh, feud with after that. Baron Corbin. Oh yeah, I remember my created wrestler for Baron Corbin looked very bad. I tried to use the paint tool to recreate Baron Corbin's tattoos, and it did not turn out okay. Not even in the slightest. Um, Back to Ring of Honor. Blah blah blah. NXT Survivor Series. I think I still have the like the poster saved for this. It's like in some old file somewhere, but I don't know. Maybe if I can find it, I'll like post it somewhere. I don't know. Maybe. Let me know if you guys want to see that, and I'll try and find a way to post it. NXT Survivor Series, we had the Bella Twins and Lacey Von Erich versus the Beautiful People and Eva Marie. The Wyatts versus the Revolution. Wait a minute, I remember. Yeah. Huh. I remember the Revolution. The Revolution was like a makeshift team of superstars that I had created. The team was AJ Styles, Drew Galloway, and some other person. I can't remember who. It was a third person. I don't know. I think it might have been James Storm because this was around the time James Storm was doing that like whole like preacher thing like hey, I'll take or maybe it was Manic or Suicide from TNA. I think that might have been either James Storm or Manic slash Suicide, I think. Um, NXT Survivor Series. Jacob Johnson defeats Sami Zayn in a 3 stages of Hell match, no disqualification match, cage match, and then last man standing match. Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan in a hardcore title match. Kevin Owens retains. The Shield versus Kane, Rhino, and Finn Balor. When did Rhino get involved in all this? Um, Brock Lesnar versus Baron Corbin for the NXT title. Brock Lesnar retains, only to be confronted afterwards by Rusev. Rusev Day came early, several years early, in fact. And this is when we started. WWE 2K18 was coming out, so this is when I was trying to find a way to move more towards the NXT stars and away from all the stuff with like The Rock and Brock Lesnar and like John Cena and stuff like that. Or does that start later? Anyways, Randy Orton and Randy Orton and Ryback, their tag team, I believe, has split up by this point. So Ryback KO is no more. Uh, hmm. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to kick the camera. Contract signing between Rusev and Brock Lesnar. NXT TLC. Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan in a no disqualification match for the hardcore title. Daniel Bryan wins the hardcore title. Oh, that's pretty good. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro defeat the Primetime Players. Jacob Johnson versus Bray Wyatt in an Intercontinental Championship tables match. Bray Wyatt wins the Intercontinental Championship. Paige defeats five other women to become the women's champion in a ladder match. Seth Rollins defeats Rhino in a TLC match. And if Seth Rollins pulled down the briefcase, he would get a match with Finn Balor. Uh, or he would get a match with Finn Balor. What? That doesn't happen to WrestleMania, though. And the main event, Rusev versus Brock Lesnar for the NXT Championship in a TLC match. Rusev defeats Brock Lesnar. That must have been one hell of a Rusev day. Um, okay, let's see here. The Authority announces John Cena coming to NXT next week. Oh, never mind. 2 steps forward and 4 steps back. Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze. Paige will start a revolution. Alright, cool. Stephanie McMahon attacks Eva Marie. What? Okay. NXT Rusev versus Bad News Barrett. Rusev wins, only for Brock Lesnar to attack him. Oh yeah, this was leading up to their rematch. And keep in mind, Kevin Owens has lost the Hardcore title at this point, so he has no title, which leads us to NXT Royal Rumble. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro defeated the Usos to retain their tag team titles. Daniel Bryan versus Adrian Neville for the Hardcore title. Adrian Neville wins the Hardcore title. Eva Marie versus Nia Jax. Eva Marie wins. Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. Finn Balor is disqualified after Triple H's interference, only for Sting to debut. I remember I had Sting debut that way. Brock Lesnar versus Rusev for the NXT Championship again. Rusev defeats Brock Lesnar thanks to the interference after a referee got knocked out. Lesnar lost due to the interference of Kevin Owens. I remember I built up Kevin Owens to face Brock Lesnar at not at SummerSlam, at WrestleMania. Now I remember. Number one contenders battle royal for the women's championship. AJ Lee defeats Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, Dana Brooke, Emma, and Bayley. And the NXT Royal Rumble is won by Zack Ryder and co-won by Curtis Axel. I remember I recreated Curtis Axel's moment where he was never eliminated in the Royal Rumble very early. I think he was number 1 or number 2, and I did a thing where like Tyson Kidd did like his suicide dive, where Tyson Kidd threw him through the second rope, and Tyson Kidd did his suicide dive through the second rope. So technically, neither of them were eliminated. Then Tyson Kidd got back in the ring and started fighting the guy that came in at number 3. So Axel was forgotten about for the rest of the match. So I had a thing where Curtis Axel says he won the Royal Rumble. Zack Ryder technically kind of won the Royal Rumble, so that leads into our next pay-per-view event. Triple H announces NXT King of the Ring, and Seth Rollins comes out and says he wants a match with Finn Balor. And that led to a tag team match at NXT King of the Ring. here. We have Eva Marie, at the time, was having a rivalry with Stephanie McMahon, which would culminate at WrestleMania. So we had at NXT King of the Ring Eva Marie versus Jessica Havoc. We had Bray Wyatt versus, I don't know if this, it just says Tyson. I assume it means Tyson Kidd. Otherwise, I don't know why I had Mike Tyson win the Intercontinental Championship. King of the Ring semifinals matches. We had John Cena versus Cesaro. Cesaro beats John Cena by countout after John Cena turns heel and just walks out on the match. Okay, I remember that. Bad News Barrett defeats Sami Zayn. Alright. Paige versus AJ Lee for the Divas Championship. Paige wins. Seth Rollins and Sting versus Triple H and Finn Balor. Triple H and Finn Balor win. Cesaro versus Bad News Barrett, King of the Ring finals. Bad News Barrett wins, becoming King Barrett? Yeah. Yeah, that's how I had it. And then the main event, Curtis Axel versus Zack Ryder for the number one contendership to the NXT Championship. Nobody wins because Rusev comes in and attacks both of them, leading to the main event of NXT WrestleMania. We had, so basically both men ended up facing off. It was Rusev versus Curtis Axel versus Zack Ryder. Bad News Barrett gloats about winning King of the Ring and is attacked by The Undertaker. So it is the King of the Ring versus the Prince of Darkness for WrestleMania. Okay, I'm going to skip all this junk and go right into WrestleMania. So the rivalries going to WrestleMania were the Usos and the Vaudevillains, Dean Ambrose and Bray. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor finally had their blow-off match. Kevin Owens and Brock Lesnar have their match from the interference from Royal Rumble. Triple H versus Sting. Ryback versus Randy Orton. John Cena versus Cesaro. Eva Marie versus Stephanie McMahon. AJ Lee versus Lita. And Rusev versus Curtis Axel versus Zack Ryder. Alright, so going down the list here. The Usos were defeated by the Vaudevillains to win the NXT Tag Team titles. I think this is where I started getting into the part where I wanted NXT stars to actually hold the NXT titles. Bray Wyatt defeats Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn wins a Battle Royal. Paige, Charlotte, and Becky defeat the Beautiful People. I guess. Seth Rollins finally defeats Finn Balor, culminating a rivalry that started all the way back, technically, like at the beginning of the Universe mode, so that was my first long-term storytelling. Triple H defeated Sting thanks to special guest referee Kevin Nash attacking him. Ryback defeated Randy Orton. Cesaro defeated heel John Cena. That's pretty cool. Eva Marie defeats Stephanie McMahon. I think that might have been the last we've seen of Stephanie McMahon in the Universe mode. Yippee! AJ Lee defeats Lita to retain the Women's Championship. And Rusev versus Curtis Axel versus Zack Ryder for the NXT Championship. Zack Ryder wins the NXT Championship. I do remember doing some of these matches, and some of them actually ended in really good ways. I know that was one of them. Let's see. Daniel Bryan retires. Oh, I remember doing that. Alright. Let's see. My first NXT TakeOver event main evented Zack Ryder versus Rusev for the NXT title. Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. I know this matchup came about because Brock Lesnar wanted his NXT Championship rematch since he got screwed out of it by Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble. Triple H said he wasn't going to give it to him, so Brock and Triple H had a match. Kevin Nash and Sting had a match due to what happened at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn in Daniel Bryan's final match in WWE. Sami Zayn wins, given the rub. Let's see, what else is here? Oh, we had Demon Kane versus Demon Balor in a steel cage. That sounds pretty cool. I think this is where I started getting back into, like, the better episodes of this show. We had a special, this is on the 100th episode of the Universe Mode, we had a special takeover event called Takeover Last Diva Standing, which the main event for that was for the Women's Championship, Paige versus Dana Brooke. Huh, alright. NXT Takeover Media. That was another one of my creations of my own. NXT Takeover Media. Uh, Main evented. Oh yeah, this is where I had people pick the matches and stuff. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro in either a last man standing match, ladder match, or table match. Cesaro won. Kevin Owens versus Kalisto in either an I Quit, 2 out of 3 falls, or cage match. 2 out of 3 falls. Vaudevillains versus Enzo and Cass, Ascension, or Blake and Murphy for the tag titles. Enzo and Cass won the vote and the titles. Kane and Bad News Barrett versus Finn Balor and a mystery partner of Finn Balor's choosing. He chose AJ Styles. Alright, the Beautiful People and Lana defeating the Bella Army. I believe that was the Bella Twins and Alicia Fox. Um, Zack Ryder defending the NXT Championship against either Tyler Breeze, Baron Corbin, or Sami Zayn. Baron Corbin won the vote but did not win the title. And the main event, Triple H versus a man to represent William Regal for control of NXT. Triple H would either face Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, or Kurt Angle. The vote was won, and I wrote here, in a landslide by Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle would win the match, and so William Regal would gain control of NXT. That's how I brought in William Regal as the on-screen persona. Oh, I lost my page. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm on the right page. The next night, Vince McMahon would come to NXT and said he still owns NXT, and so William Regal put Vince McMahon and Triple H in a tag team match against 2 men of his choosing. If Triple H and Vince McMahon won, they would get control of NXT back. If the 2 men that William Regal chose won, we would never see Triple H and Vince McMahon again. The 2 men that were chosen were Shinsuke Nakamura and Austin Aries, who won, and we would never see Triple H and Vince McMahon again. And I think this is where we start getting into some of the better stuff. I think that's pretty much like all the bad ideas. Yeah, we had an NXT Money in the Bank show. Sami Zayn winning the NXT Money in the Bank. That sounds pretty cool. Zack Ryder versus Big E for the NXT title. Zack Ryder retains. And then we started getting to NXT TakeOver Ohio. Finn Balor versus Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder retains the championship. Yep, and then I started having Finn Balor as the NXT champion, and blah blah blah. I think that might have been all the bad ideas leading up to where we are right now, which with NXT TakeOver Destiny out of the way, I think, I mean, still some stuff still lingers. I mean, I did have that really bad idea of having uh, Jinder Mahal main event in NXT pay-per-view, which I'm really glad he lost in very quick fashion to Drew McIntyre. Um, so that is it. That was all of my bad ideas for the NXT Universe mode. And you know, to get to the good, you have to go through all the bad. I guess. So that, I guess that does it for all my bad ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed this little exclusive thing. Me sitting here talking to you guys. Man, look at that. Look at this. I'm going to try and get this in the shot. But just look at all these pages. Look at this. Boom. All those pages. I was trying to do the thing where it like goes by. Hold on. It's like ASMR again. Look at that. Boom. All those pages full of good and bad ideas. And there towards the beginning, a lot of them were bad. But now we're in a good period. And you guys make it even better, so I want to thank you guys for joining me for this Universe Mode exclusive. And if you guys haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on all social media. Check out our website. All the links for that and more are on the channel in the About page, or you can find them at the top on the banner. I have been Jacob from the WrestleDude channel. That has been a look inside the Universe Mode, a Universe Mode exclusive, and I will see you guys next time.